Get that.
There you go.
It's all the seating arrangement.
Yeah, probably. There you go.
Start from the front right.
Going back a couple days, the trade for Kenny Pickett, kind of how'd that come about, and what was it about Kenny Pickett that sort of made you guys focus on him?
Well, obviously quarterbacks are an important commodity, and Kenny's somebody that we've had a lot of respect for a long time. I was in Tampa in 2022 when he was a rookie and beat Tom Brady. He fit the profile of what we're looking for. He does a lot of similar things that Geno does with his athleticism and ability to move the pocket and all that. And, you look around the league and you think, who could be available, who could we get? And a team with 4 quarterbacks certainly looks like a spot where you could get it. And so we felt like organizationally it made a lot of sense. We still are excited about working through Aiden's injury and getting him back at some point. But, we had to have some answers, and it would be a lot to ask a rookie from North Dakota State to be the number 2 guy going into week 1. So felt like it was a great move for us.
You guys could have put Aiden on IR, but kept him on the active roster. I know Coach Carroll said he thought he's going to be out 6 to 8 weeks. Did you guys have a more optimistic timetable for him to return to that, or was it just?
He's now on IR. We placed him on IR today. So it's just really kind of the way that the league allows you to do different ways to put guys to IR. You get 8 total guys for the entire season to bring back from designated to return. If you do 2 of them like we did Lonnie before, now you're down to 6. And so we thought that this will just give us a little bit more flexibility. Sometimes it's challenging because you have to carry them through the cut and then cut somebody like a veteran usually to do it. With the way our roster was kind of made up, it actually kind of fell together, so it wasn't as challenging to do as some of the places I've been in the past. So Aiden's on IR now, and he's already had a surgery, and he's already working hard to get back, and when he's ready, we'll have a chance to play football again.
So you probably go with 3 active quarterbacks? Second half of the season, maybe?
We'll see how it comes. I'm not gonna make any predictions about how the season unfolds, but right now we know we have 2 healthy guys on the active roster, and that's kind of how we'll start the season.
John, whether it's a trade or whether it's a signing, what are your top priorities when making a decision as a general manager?
Being on the same page with Pete and making sure it's what's best for the Raiders. Pete and I have had since the start a great communication between us. We've got great staffs that support us and feel, I think, empowered to tell us what they think. And so any move that we make, you can bet that Pete and I have talked a lot about it, which means our staffs have talked a lot about it too. And we've done it because we feel like it's in the best for the Raiders.
So I guess you waited there a month for, is there a corresponding move attached to that?
Yeah, we actually ran Stone Forsythe out there about halfway through practice today. He did quick touch his toes and got in some of the drills. So Stone will be our vision of the new swing tackle right on number 3 while Charles continues to keep working.
You went through the whole process of a training camp as the guy. What did you learn about your job and everything that comes along with it that was different from your previous stops as you grew into this?
It's a deep question. I was fortunate in Tampa that Jason gave me such exposure to everything that we did there. I was right next to him for most of it. So I think for me, the big difference is that ultimately somebody has to make a decision. And when, on the personnel side, a lot of times in harmony with Pete, it comes down to me and him. And so, the hardest or the most different thing for me yesterday probably was, and the day before, was when we talked to the guys that we unfortunately had to let go, that, that's a different conversation that I've had in the past. In the past, it was more like maybe I was the person just delivering the news. I think there was an understanding looking at me like, you're part of the main reason why. And so I think there's a responsibility in that and something I don't take lightly. But, I think I learned about us and what we're trying to do as the Raiders, that we had great communication and we were able to solve any problems that kind of were laid out in front of us.
John, obviously Jacoby had a trade request, but despite that, no holdout situation, still coming to practice. What do you think that says about his professionalism, and how do you assess his value to this team?
Well, Jacoby's a consummate professional, and Jacoby and I have had a lot of great conversations since I've gotten here about many different things. And I'm excited that he's here and he's a Raider and he's out in the field working hard today. And I've not seen him do anything but that since I've been here. He's a professional. I think he really values being a Raider. He has a lot of respect for this game, and I think he only knows how to go about it one way, which is give his best when he's out there.
John, what was your thought process, if you could elaborate at all, on not bringing Tommy Watt onto the practice squad?
Well, I have a lot of respect for Tommy, and you know, there was a lot of hard decisions that we made the last couple of days, and ultimately our responsibility, coach and myself, is to put the best 53 and then 17 after that, and to get ready to win football games. And there's always a development part of that too, but there's a reality sometimes that who is most ready and who is furthest along and who can help this team win the most. And ultimately we made some decisions that didn't include him for now. When I talked to him yesterday, you know, he's a great kid. He worked really, really hard to try to become a NFL wide receiver after being an FCS quarterback. I don't think people understand quite how hard that is. And unfortunately, this is not a field where there's a lot of patience all the time. And I still believe in Tommy. I think he's got a really bright future, and I really hope that he finds a place where he can find maybe a little more patience from a roster standpoint. The other thing I would say too, and this is to compliment, you know, Alex Guerrero, Chris Cortez, and our entire athletic training staff, we were very, very healthy. And a lot of times those decisions get made for you. You know, there's a lot of times where I've been in a wide receiver room where you have 15 guys, and the next thing you know, you're down to 10, and it's not that hard to make a decision. We had to make a decision between all the wide receivers that we brought to camp. They were all healthy at the end. So unfortunately, it didn't work out here for Tommy right now, but I'm never saying never to him, and I wish him the best wherever he ends up.
You just brought in Amari Cooper. Was that kind of indicative of just maybe how young it was behind the first three guys, and just wanted to get more experience there?
Yeah, I mean, we're always going to try to find guys at different times that can help our team win. And, you know, I love the idea of playing rookies. I think that's a constant, like, tug and war between coaches and personnel people sometimes. And I think it's really easy for me to sit up here and say, play the rookies, because I don't have to call the plays and coach them up and, you know, get the quarterback to feel like they can trust them. And so we just constantly monitored who was available, and the more we talked about it, and then Amari was still there, and the way we saw our roster developing and seeing Dante and Jack come along, we started to have some conversations with Amari about coming back to Raider Nation, and you know, he was super interested right away. And obviously we made the move because we felt like he made us better, and it's been really cool to see him out there the last couple days. He's somebody I've had a lot of respect for a long time. I can still remember in 2016 in Tampa, when some of you guys may have been there, when he shredded us. And you know, that was a long time ago, probably for both me and him, but a lot of respect for him. I'm glad he's a Raider right now.
Do you have a player like that who, you know, has been unsigned at this point, hasn't been on another team, going through OTAs and training camp? What work goes into making sure that player is ready to go if you sign him, and then what gives you confidence about Amari specifically that, you know, he still has something left in the tank?
Well, he played good football for a team that went to the AFC Championship last year too, and his ability to make unique catches is something that's always stood out for me. And you know, whether or not you're the fastest guy in the world or you're not the fastest guy in the world, you're going to have to make contested catches at this level, and he's always been able to do that, and he had many of those last year. In terms of getting him ready to play, that's Alex Guerrero and them are having to. They onboard him, they kind of assess where he's at physically. Obviously, he has not been in a camp, so we cannot have an expectation that he's in tip-top shape and ready to play football. But we have a plan for him to bring him along, and that plan will more than likely include him being a big part of the game plan in New England in 10 days or whatever it is from now.
John, now that Geno Smith has been in the building since April, just what have been your impression of him and how he's acclimated himself as one of the leaders on the team?
He's been everything we wanted him to be. He's a hard worker. He's competitive. When he comes out to practice, it's with conviction, and he's out there for a reason. It's not something that he's just out there throwing a football around. I mean, he's detailed. He's been a leader for us. He likes to mix it up with Max, which is a fun thing to see too, because I always love a quarterback that won't back down from people like Max, and he can throw the football. I mean, I've always admired his arm, but when you stand close to him, I think you guys have been out there now to really see him throw a football. It's pretty special the way that he can spin it. But I think a lot of us knew that the person has been as advertised, but again, not a surprise because Coach knew him so well.
Just with the tug of war sometimes between playing rookies or coaches maybe wanting more veteran players. When you're sitting in your chair, how difficult is that battle between trying to develop a guy and like trying to find a guy that might help you win next Sunday?
I wouldn't say it's a battle, but you just got to know what the guys are capable of, and you don't want to throw rookies into situations, or really anybody, that they're not totally prepared for. And people progress at different levels, and wide receiver is a really hard job to master. It requires a lot athletically, it requires a lot mentally, and it requires a quarterback to trust you too. I mean, I've been around some really great ones, and if they didn't trust you, you were never going to get the ball, ever. And they were pretty vocal about that too. So, you know, Jack and Dante have both been doing really well, and you know, bringing in somebody with Amari is somebody that can take a little bit of the pressure off of him, so we don't have to rely so much on him. And also another really good player that's had a really great career that they can rely on for advice and can help to teach them what it really looks like.
I guess more broadly, I guess, on my question of making a decision for the team today and a team for the future, you have to plan for, you know, next week, next year, you know, down the road. Like, how difficult are those decisions?
Well, it's challenging because you don't want to wake up, you know, a month, 2 months, a year from now and not have pieces in place in the future too. But you can't do that and just plan for the future and neglect today and the next week and the next game. And so, you know, I think as you have more experience in the job that I have, and Coach Carroll obviously has been doing it a long time, and the people we have around us, there's just, I don't know if I have a great answer for you, Adam, but just there's a gut to it where it's like this guy, after the conversations and how he's coming along and his mental makeup and his intelligence and his work ethic, like how much is he ready for? How much can we expect? And you know, not that they're not going to take losses. Everybody takes losses and gets beat down and gets beat by in this league. Everybody, even the best ones. But their ability to bounce back from it and be prepared for that situation and know that like I can get up and I can keep going is paramount. And it is a nuanced challenge every year, but it is one that we have to be really good at because we want to win today and win tomorrow and the next year.
What was it that stood out to you about Kenny Pickett that was different than other quarterbacks that might have been available, or just in comparison to him, that you thought would make him a good contribution to the Raiders?
I have a lot of respect for the player. He's 15-10 as a starter. You know, he's had opportunities to play. He won a Super Bowl last year, so he knows what it looks like. You know, I think I said before, he's a good athlete. He's not too dissimilar from Geno in a lot of ways, in the way he can move and the offense that we want to run. I think sometimes you can get two different types of quarterbacks, and it becomes a big challenge for the offense coordinator, for Chip, to kind of match those two up and have the backup quarterback ready to go should something happen, you know, in the middle of a game. But with Kenny and the way he kind of mirrors Geno in a lot of ways, that just makes it a little bit easier in what is already a very hard job. And again, he's won in this league. He's somebody we have a lot of respect for. We had great character reports coming with him coming out of Pitt a bunch of years ago, and we just felt like he was a good add for our culture and for our team.
Let's go Willie, Steve, and then Vinny.
John, would you just clarify, just based on your comments about keeping an eye on Amari, always keeping an eye on where he's at. Is it just pure coincidental that the news of Jacoby requesting a trade, that they were roughly the same day, at the same time? I mean, did it have anything to do with that in terms of the news breaks that he requested trade? So let's go lock him up in case something doesn't happen with Jacoby.
My official answer and the absolute truth is it was pure coincidence. Yes. It may not look like that, but it was absolutely coincidence. We had been talking to Amari for a while, just making sure it was the right fit and we could work the right contract out.
Thank you.
John, you mentioned a couple times this afternoon about being on the same page. 9 of your 11 draft picks made this roster, this 53-man roster. What does that say about your ability to build the staff you did build here and have the communication lines open among everybody to come to consensus on every player that you did draft and to see them at this point make your roster?
I think it started with Coach and I being on the same page from the get-go last year, and we had a lot to get accomplished in a short period of time when he and I both got here. Work with his staff, work together, try to sort through the different scouting reports that I had, my background and what I would look for in draft picks and all that. And ultimately we knew from the start that we were looking for the same kind of football player, the same kind of makeup. And then I thought Coach and I brought that to life at the draft. And we've talked from the start about building and fostering a culture that thrives on competition, and that if you can't meet that challenge every day, if it's too much from you won't have a very good chance to be here long term. And when we drafted those guys, I think I can remember sitting up here whatever it was, 4 months ago, and saying that, you know, we'll see how they do physically, but I was convicted that they were the right kind of person that could survive in this culture, and I think 9 of those guys making that is a testament to that, because it was a hard training camp, and it was a lot for all of them, but they showed up every day because they love to play and love to compete, and, you know, they're the right kind of people we want to build this program on.
The NFL changed the rules a few years ago where that practice squad, you could elevate guys, to your game day roster. How important does that become in kind of the team building here? I look at a guy like Terrell Edmonds, who was taking first team reps, at safety. Does he kind of fit into that mix and that mold with somebody that you can activate on game day?
Yeah, it's a great tool to get the right 53, well, be 48, 49 people up on game day. Creates a bigger challenge. You know, it's been a new thing to learn, and there's a lot of nuances to it, and it's almost like chess a little bit. You got to think ahead about how you want to do it and not waste elevations and who's eventually going to sign to the active roster. But, you know, it helps in a lot of different ways. It helps people like Terrell Edmonds, so he did a lot of really great things. I told him this yesterday, a lot of really great things in 2 weeks, more than you would expect somebody that was nowhere on August 1st. And, you know, years ago, it might have, without having that tool, it might have precipitated him not being here. But now it's like, well, we can keep working with him, and he can keep building, and we can see if he can be part of the game plan in a week.
Let's wrap it up with Levi and then Adam. John, is there, can you identify maybe 1 or 2 players that you can really think of that you came into OTAs and you and your front office might have had kind of like a blank slate or didn't know much about that player that you feel really had to go out their way to really earn a spot on this team?
That's a great question. I wouldn't say that I didn't know a lot about them, but the 2 guys that initially come to mind are Will Putnam and Dylan Lowry. You know, I knew a lot about those guys, but when we talk about what it means to be a Raider and to compete every day and to show up with energy and positivity and start where they started with, which was not getting second team reps, and just work every day and challenge themselves every day to show up and do the right thing, and then do the right thing, and then get an opportunity to run with the 2s and make plays and be a great teammate. And it just stood out. It's just one of those things that Coach and I talked about that you just could not deny. And those are the exact kind of 2 people that we want here. And, you know, Will offers a lot of versatility as an interior lineman. He proves some value as a center, but also to play guard. And, you know, if you're going to go to game day with 8 offensive linemen, the value in those guys on the inside is that they can play all 3 of those spots. And Will prove that to us. He did it day after day. And then with Dylan, you know, just a relentless drive to be a good teammate and make plays. And he had good kickoff returns. He's making tackles on kickoff and on punt team. And, you know, if you're paying attention to the right kind of people, you just can't deny that. And at the end of the day, I don't really care where any of them came from, whether they were a draft pick or a high money free agent signing or an undrafted free agent or a 7th round pick. I just care if they're good football players and be good teammates, and I know Coach feels the same. And those 2 guys, I thought in spades, kind of exemplified that this training camp.
You've obviously put in so much work to get here. You talked about all the mentors you had along the way to prepare you for this, but sliding over that one chair where you're not giving advice or your thoughts anymore, you're the guy making the final decision and standing there. I guess, what did you learn about yourself in this process the last couple of weeks?
I don't know that I learned it, but that I'm okay living in that space. You know, that hard decisions are okay. You know, I think we've all, probably everybody in this room too, you've all been through a lot. I've been through a lot in my life, and at the end of the day, this is a job and this is football, and I take it really serious. I want to have a great team. I want Raider Nation to be proud. I want the players to get everything they deserve out of it. But, you know, I wanted this job for a lot of different reasons, but it's because I'm not afraid to make tough and critical decisions. And I don't think that I'm going to get them all right. I've lived through getting things wrong, and the older you get, I think you all realize you get things wrong, but that you'll be okay. But to make tough choices with conviction, and then be self-critical and open-minded and aware enough to realize, like, I got this one right, this is why I got it right, and this one wrong, and this is why I got it wrong, and I'm sure we got some wrong over the past month, and we'll see. But I can promise you I'll learn from those, and, you know, I'll only get better because of that.
All right, you guys all set? All right,
Thank you so much.